Get started then.
Okay.
So I've started recording, so we just wanted to say thank you so much, Kate Mercer, VP for Marketing and Communications with Lucky Iron Fish. And maybe you could just tell us a little bit about how the company got started and what was the focus behind the company itself.
Sure. So the original concept was actually developed by researchers at the University of Guelph. They were looking for a way to boost the iron content in diets of Cambodian villagers. A student at the time, Christopher Charles, was visiting there for a research project, and he thought that there must be some way to help these locals without necessarily giving the iron pills, that it's not part of their culture to eat pills, and also it's expensive and they have to refill it after 30 days. So after looking at some research of cooking in cast iron pans, which produces inconsistent results with the iron infused in the food, he thought there could be a way to add iron in a consistent way that is measurable and safe for all people in the family. So he developed a lucky fish because this fish shape is a symbol of luck in Cambodia, and it actually drastically increased the approval for locals to use it in their diets. And from there, our CEO, Gavin Armstrong, took it upon himself to commercialize that for every other community around the world, both in developed and developing nations, because anemia, iron deficiency anemia, is actually the #1 micronutrient deficiency in the world.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so when you look at it, you've had some great growth. The company started December of 2012, I understand. And you've been doing some great things, especially in terms of marketing. And I love the social marketing component. Who would you say comprises your target markets, and how did you develop those markets?
Sure thing. So right now, most of our marketing is done for North American audiences. And when we look at the content that we're developing, it's based on a few different segments. So I've called them sort of proactive and reactive. So people who are iron deficient tend to be that way because of maybe lifestyle choices, if they are vegans or athletes, or also sort of medical lifestyle choices through pregnancy, but also things like menstruation, or people who are just medically diagnosed iron deficient. So the proactive group, I would say, are people like athletes and vegans and vegetarians, those who have chosen this lifestyle and know that iron issues come with it. Whereas the reactive group would be more like the heavy flow menstruation, pregnant and the nursing folks, and also the medically diagnosed folks that have nutrition absorption issues, like with Crohn's or IBS.
Mm-hmm. And the development of those markets, did you do a lot of research ahead of time?
Definitely. So this whole company is very much stemmed in research. So when we were looking at the size of the markets and who is iron deficient, we had to break that down. And I think the way that marketing is going is you can't have one message for every consumer. People want to know that, how is this important to me? And because this is so unique, we really had to get to know those groups. So going forward, that is my new marketing focus. So for a long time, we focused so much on our giving back model, which is very important and also a very large market segment. Socially conscious consumers, that's a large group of people. And a lot of these other segments can fall into there too. But really going forward, all of my blog content is more focused on one audience, and then we're going to be segmenting from there. So there will be a section on our website devoted to vegans. There will be a section for pregnant mothers, those sorts of things.
So the methods that you use to support your marketing, you talk about social media. Other things you'd love of advertise, traditional forms of marketing?
Well, because we're so small, we don't actually do a lot of traditional forms of marketing. Years ago, before I started up, we had some grant money from different firms, and we experimented with PR. and it went really well. We would see a boost in sales after we were featured in the Oprah magazine or in the Skim newsletter. But again, that wasn't segmented and it wasn't targeted. And so the more we kept doing that PR, the less impact we were seeing on sales. Mm-hmm. So I actually did a customer feedback survey to ask people, like, why did you buy a fish? And what was interesting is a large portion of them were iron deficient, but also a large portion just thought it was a really cool idea. Mm-hmm. So, which is great, but I need more people to buy the fish that are in fact iron deficient. So mm-hmm. PR is an element of our product, but we are trying to actually get to the people who it will be impacting the most.
Right. And when did the company reach a point where it knew it had something that was really significant and a really good long-term venture?
Well, in fact, we were asked to pitch to Dragon's Den this summer for the 2018-2019 season. And that to us was a big pat on the back because CBC came to us mm-hmm. instead of the other way around. And they really want companies who are sort of beyond the beginning stages and have an eye for the future. And so I can't divulge what's going to happen, but perhaps the results will be out mm-hmm. later this fall. And that was really exciting. And also just recently we've been asked by the Canadian government who wants to represent us on a very large international stage as a solution for global health problems that are very simple. And that is the big goal for us, is that the fish is a more holistic tool than just a bottle of pills, because it is used in cooking, which everybody does anyways. Mm-hmm. So that was really neat for us to recognize, like both a large publishing group and also the Canadian government has recognized us as a great solution for a global problem.
Yeah. So really, you look at that. You got government approval, government support, and government being attracted to this as well, wanting to promote it, and business as well. Dragon's Den, that's a great thing. We'll look forward to seeing that. Really, it's proven science, ISO-approved methods, etc., connecting people in a social way, and it's a very responsible product. There's a lot of good messages that are there. How did you achieve that state, and what do you do to really reinforce your market position? Is there a lot of competition out there?
That's a good question. So I will start with the competition one, because there is not another iron fish. People can use cast iron pans, like I mentioned before, with inconsistent results, and people can take iron supplements. So there's liquid iron supplements and pills, or they could eat high iron diets. So those are sort of the competitors, that there's not a direct one. So we are trying to find where that niche of people who don't want to take pills or are looking to add to their diet where they already have eaten iron. And also people looking for alternatives, which I think right now the industry is ripe for that. There's a lot of holistic medicine and alternative medicine coming out. But really the reason I think so far for our success is that because this company started out as a PhD thesis. So it wasn't just a random brainchild. This has a lot of background, and there's a lot of strategy and planning and support. And we also have had a lot of organizations help us at the early stage to set us up for the future. So that, I do think, is a reason why we are at this point already in our 5.5 years.
Mm-hmm. And I think you may have answered this question. I was going to ask you what makes social enterprise models work. What do you think is really the key?
I think the key is explaining that it goes beyond just the product, and people are willing to look for an alternative. So we just are working with a creative group who've shared some research, and 66% of Americans will switch products if they know there's a social element for the alternative, even if they're loyal to the original product. Mm-hmm. And that is a huge response. Mm-hmm. So, and companies know that you can still be profitable and do good. And I think this B Corp initiative, which we are a proud B Corp, and every 2 years when it's time to re-enroll, we put a lot of effort into that. And we've actually been listed as best for the world the last 3 rounds. Mm-hmm. So that B Corp status also helps ensure that we are meeting a higher standard of environmental and social practices. And I think we are demonstrating that if there's enough thought put into the background of the business, you can make a profit and still do well for other areas in the world.
Right. And do you have an anecdote or two, maybe a couple of thoughts on, points of time in the company's growth when you said, hey, this makes it all worthwhile, or some aha moments?
Well, for me right now, in the last 6 months, we have tripled our employees, which is wild. So I look back at the early days and what we were able to accomplish with so few people. And Gavin, our CEO, he has worked his tail off to get to this point. And so I can't speak for him. And because, again, as a new employee, relatively new, I wasn't there at the early stage, but I'm seeing more and more people adding on. We're going through capital funding, which is really exciting because investors are seeing the benefit in joining us at this point in our company, and also the potential that's coming out from some of the Dragon's Den opportunities. That it's worth it. People are recognizing they want to be involved with us too.
Mm-hmm. How many employees do you have?
Right now we have 8, and there's another one coming on board. We also have another intern. It'll be more of a co-op student who's going to help us branch into other Asian markets. So that's really exciting for us because I do believe the future of the company is going to be, I would say, North American e-commerce and retail based, because we are trying to get onto more store shelves. And then we're also going to have a very large component that will be more in the bulk sales. So looking for partnerships with groups like World Vision and the Red Cross and Global Medic.
Right.
So, and I think being on these global stages from a government perspective, that's where we will see the large increase in numbers because governments can buy hundreds of thousands of fish. But I also feel like the industry is more open to alternatives in North America for iron supplementation.
So you have the one product now, and it's a really attractive product. It looks great, and certainly I can see a lot of the appeal. I've been following on Facebook, the Facebook posts that you put there, and a lot of great ideas that are coming out of it. Other ideas that are also sort of percolating with the company.
Yeah, we're definitely looking for ways to continue to innovate.
Right.
So, right now, the fish is made of cast iron, and it's made at a foundry in Bowmanville, so not too far from you guys. And we love that it's a Canadian-made product. Going forward, there are other types of iron that we are looking into. So electrolytic iron is basically a powdered iron that has food-grade standards. So that is a great opportunity for us because then we'll be able to market it better as more of a food product, and instead of right now it's considered a cooking tool. And then also it's a lighter product. So when we are shipping around the world, especially in large volumes, this will significantly reduce the environmental impact and also the cost to ship. And we're looking in certain areas where fish may not be deemed appropriate. So in areas in India where they're more strictly vegan, we've actually developed a leaf shape for the fish.
Wow.
So, and we're trying to decide right now, which is actually a very interesting marketing opportunity, is do we open that up to other North American markets, or do we focus it in areas that we know strictly reject the fish shape? So we are constantly evolving, and we also have some small value-added products that we're going to be looking into more as we go forward. So we have a protection oil, but things that are on my list are maybe a dish to store it in, or a jug so people who can make a batch of water every day, they can store it in this jug, that sort of thing going forward.